All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of the Addictively Speaking podcast. Tonight, my guest is William Kemp. He works with Elite Dynamic Life, as holistic healing, right? Holistic health.
Yeah, holistic health.
And, yeah. And William's here to share his story and tell us a little bit about his struggles with addiction. So, William, why don't you tell the listeners about yourself and what brought you on the program?
Okay, awesome. Thanks a lot, James. So, I'll just get to why I wanted to come on the program was just to share my experience, strength, and hope on how I recovered, and just to give people hope of what's possible. Right. My story. So my story is as a child, I had a pretty rough childhood, honestly, and my parents, my mom and dad, were together, but they, as far as I can remember, they never slept in the same bed. They would fight a lot, sometimes physically, which was, really tough to see, obviously, as a child. My mom was my best friend. I was a real mama's boy, just gonna admit that. And we spent a lot of time.
I think all boys
guys.
are. All
Yeah,
boys
for
are
sure.
mamas. My two little boys, they could give two shits about me. They want their mommy. So that's
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. So like I said, yeah, that was tough, right? And then when I grew up on a farm, right? So I was always physically active, helping with my dad, feeding the animals and stuff like that. And I was really into sports, hockey, soccer, just basically anything. I just love physical activity and sports, right? But that all took a change. When I was about 9 years old, just grade 4, I was diagnosed with T-cell leukemia. And so I just got really sick one day. And my parents took me to the hospital. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I was really super sick for probably about 7 days, actually. And finally, my parents just decided something serious was going on. So they took me to the hospital. And that's where they told my parents I had T-cell leukemia. And I started treatment right away, which is chemotherapy. And so I went through all that. Yeah, it was honestly, I think I was probably better off. I got cancer as a child because I was really resilient and just the type of kid I was then. Death was never a thought of mine, right? The crazy thing is though, I met a lot of kids in the hospital that when I was on the cancer ward whenever I went into the hospital, and sometimes I've been there for weeks, sometimes even 3 months at a time. And so I made a lot of friends who had cancer and stuff in there. And all of them that I met in there, they never survived. The survival rate, I'm 40 years old now, and the survival rate back then when I was 9 was 12%. It was,
Jesus.
yeah,
That's terrifying.
Thank God I didn't know that at the time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to like a 9-year-old, you'd have been 12%. So I got a chance, right? You wouldn't have thought it. You wouldn't have thought about it. You hear it as an adult, and you're like, shit, that's nothing. that is not good.
That is.
But as a kid, you're probably just 12%. I mean, that seems good.
Seems fair.
Yeah. Odds are good. Odds are in my favor.
Yeah, exactly. So and then I ended up I came out of remission, and so then I guess they told my parents I'd have a bone marrow transplant. So I had more chemotherapy and then full body radiation therapy. So 10 rounds of full. Yeah, it was heavy, man. That's for people that don't know, radiation burns you from the inside out, and so it was on massive amounts of morphine. I had bro, I had my own buzzer. I could hit that thing every 4 minutes, and I was hitting it every 4 minutes, right? Yeah, it was brutal. And so I made it through all that. I was starting to recover and get my health back, I guess, best is what I thought I could, but I was still really struggling with damage my brain and my memory and all sorts of organs, right? My lungs even. And it was, and then so I was just doing checkups and stuff like that on the regular. And it was about a year after I got my bone marrow transplant. I was coming back from one of my checkups, me, my mom, and my brother. And my mom fell asleep at the wheel. And basically we went through a stop sign, and we were T-boned. She was thrown from the vehicle. Yeah. I was thrown from the vehicle and she was thrown from the vehicle. Fortunately, my brother was wearing his seatbelt, but the vehicle landed on top of my mom, killing her instantly. And I fractured my femur and plus got like a concussion. And I just remember waking
Wow.
up. Yeah, I remember waking up and I woke up in the ditch and basically the ambulance and stuff was there. Helicopter even came, flew me and my brother to the hospital. But like the first thing I came to was screaming like, "Where's my mom? How's my
Oh,
mom?"
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, she was yeah, it's crazy. And they told me she was okay, right? They probably just didn't want to devastate me
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, I mean, you were probably not in any physical or mental shape to handle that type of news at that moment anyway. So I imagine they were just doing what they thought was like the kindest thing they could do for you. I mean,
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
moment, I mean, what do you
For
do?
sure,
I mean,
man.
how do you do that? You know?
Yeah, that would be
So
tough.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So I mean, I'm sure they just did the best they could with trying to keep you calm
absolutely.
and help you. I mean, if anybody doesn't know, you shattered your femur, and that is one of the hardest bones in the human body to break.
Yeah,
I know that.
yeah,
I was told. I've read that. I know
yeah,
that for a fact. So it's a tough
yeah,
bone to break. So that's a massive, massive collision that had to cause that.
yeah. So yeah, like they airlifted me to the hospital, and so yeah, I basically came to in the hospital, and it wasn't until I was taken to my room that's when they told me my brother, my mom didn't make it, and it's just like it shattered me, right? Like I said, she was my best friend growing up, and yeah, my world was just like just changed, right? Just devastating, and I just remember like it seemed like I cried for weeks, and
Yeah.
just never really got any mental emotional support. Like I now that
Mm,
I know that I probably should have had some, right? And basically,
yeah.
long story short, that's when I started really just acting out and just like a troubled kid would, right? And I started stealing my dad's cigarettes and booze and taking to school and started stealing and skipping school and that like just grew like slowly. I graduated to I'd start like selling drugs and stuff and
Mm,
yeah, so I was just basically like what I would started with smoking weed. Right? I guess I was drinking actually first. First I started drinking and then smoking weed. Um, and I found like when I drank, it just really like I said, it's like they say in AA, right? It's a sense of ease and comfort. And like I not to forget too, I had like a lot of physical problems too as well. My voice was really damaged. And I found like this is why I would drink a lot too in the beginning because I found when I drank it like it gave me a lot of confidence. Like I was like when I would have conversations with people and stuff, because of my voice, I was like honestly I was like even afraid to talk. So I kept my like even around new people and stuff, I barely say anything because I was just like so weirded
yeah.
out by my voice and stuff, right? Like, and
Yeah.
just so full of anxiety. And then when I drank, I was just a totally different person, right? I felt like it just really, really made me more normal. So I just started almost binge drinking right away, and I just go on major binges, and which was pretty crazy because at the time, like I was super, super underweight. So I even
Mm,
was, I got, yeah, like the
that's
main, like,
dangerous. That's
yeah, the
dangerous to do
main
that,
goal,
isn't it?
yeah, like I just never really, I never recovered right from my treatments and stuff. And
Yeah.
so I actually, like, that was a main worry of my dad and the hospitals and stuff and the doctors was how thin I was, right? And so
Yeah.
eventually there's like, they put a feeding tube in me and I started feeding tube in my stomach, and I just like eat overnight. They'd have this stuff dripping into my stomach, and so yeah, I'd even be drinking with that, right? Drinking and smoking and carrying on. So yeah,
Wow.
things just like I could tell you some crazy stories, but I ended up getting like in me and my dad just really didn't get along for the longest time, and I
Mm,
kind of like I blamed him as a child, like for what happened to mom, and like I said, I
yeah.
was just an angry individual. I felt like everyone owed me, and yeah, I was just really in a tough place mentally and emotionally. And so like I said, I graduated into, started selling and stuff like that. And then eventually I was bouncing back and forth from living with my dad and my uncle. And then actually moved back. My dad was living on the island. My uncle lived in Kamloops. And so I would sometimes live with my uncle for a while. And then he would just get like so stressed out by seeing me basically self destructing, right? He would just
Yeah.
say, I can't deal with this anymore. And So I would go back and move to the island, and it was when I was around 17 is when I got like heavily into like growing weed and selling and stuff like that, and was just kind of introduced to that through my brother, who was basically like working with like organized crime at that time. And so which like it seemed to like when I like that's when I really like started making money and stuff, and it seemed to like really help my addictions because now I was addicted to just making money, even though I was still like coping mentally with just smoking weed and stuff, right? But so yeah, either way it wasn't good. I was always addicted to something, right? And
Yeah.
just to make a long story short here, it just kind of like escalated from smoking weed and drinking to now is like dabbling with crystal meth. I had a neighbor that like lived up the road from me, and he was a meth addict, and basically I would go down there and help him, and he was a pot grower too as well, and so we kind of had like that common bound. I'd go down there and work with him, and one day he just came to me and he's like, "Do you know what would help you work a lot better?" And I was like, "No, what's that?" And then he pulled out this frick, pulled out this. Yeah, you know how it goes. So he pulled that stuff out, and I tried it, and right away I was just like, it was like the best thing I ever did, right? And that's what I thought at the time. And so I had that demon inside me, and basically I got so high I was up for 3 days straight. I couldn't sleep, and then I got into psychosis, and it just really scared me to the point of where I just really didn't want to do it again. But it was still calling me, right? And I get stressed out and I break down again. You know how that goes, right? And then before you know it, I'm a full-fledged crystal meth addict, and then
and that's how easy it can happen too. It's like you don't even realize the transition where it's just like
not at all.
Like you said, it's like you smoked it, it terrified you because you were up for 3 days.
Yeah.
And then you went into psychosis, but still your mind knew that shit was not a good idea, but then the addicted part of you, or the side of you that really was like, oh, that wasn't, we could do that again, couldn't we? And then
it's
boom,
kind of fun.
boom. Yeah.
Insane
How much stuff could I get done in 3 days being awake? I could do everything, But it's that's the dangerous part, is that you start down that path, and then before you know it, you're too far down the rabbit hole. You're like, oh yeah, now I'm a full-fledged addict, and I'm not getting off this. That's not like a recreational drug. I mean, crystal meth isn't like a recreational drug. You don't just smoke crystal meth and kind of be like, I'm just gonna leave that. No, it's not. That's not how that works.
Back up a weekend.
I only smoke meth on like Fridays and Saturdays, and then stay until Tuesday, and then it's a tricky thing, isn't it? And
absolutely.
So you started into that. So that really stuck. That was the one that you kind of swallowed you up then.
Yeah, for the longest time it did, for sure. And then I just had I had some trouble with basically like with the law or whatever, and so I because things were obviously getting out of control with that, and so I ended up trying the geographical change, and basically like just before I moved, I forgot about this. Just before I moved, that's when I was introduced to Oxycontins. My brother and his friend were doing oxys, and we were all working together, and one day I just seen them. It seemed like they were having like a really good time, right? And then I was like, "What are you guys on?" And they were they basically at that point, my brother's a year older than me, and he was basically doing everything at the time, but hiding it from me. And then so basically they just brought some out, right? Showed me, this is what we're doing. You want to try some? And I tried some, and the first time I did it, it was like the most amazing high I'd had since I had the morphine, right? And I kind of felt, like I did remember I did a lot of morphine as a child in the hospital and stuff.
Yeah,
and it was
just that warm hug, isn't it?
Man, it was like
don't they call it the warm embrace?
Yeah, for sure.
Get all warm and itchy, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
If you've ever like anybody who's ever had like their wisdom teeth out or anything like that, when you get like a synthetic opioid, you just feel like all warm,
fuzzy, warm and fuzzy,
itchy and fuzzy, and you're like, oh, this is kind of
Yeah.
strange, but that ends up being the feeling that you end up chasing then for the remainder of your addiction, isn't it? Like you're trying to
Yeah,
feel that
exactly.
again, but for the first
Absolutely.
moment.
Yeah, man. The first time I did that Oxycontin, I did it every day since the first time. And yeah, I don't even know how many years that I went for, but it was a while, right? Until basically that's when they they started getting rid of Oxycontins, right?
Mm,
They did that whole thing.
yeah.
They basically got the market flooded with um people who are addicted to Oxycontins, and they cut them off, made it really
Mm.
hard to get. Yeah.
And
So
then
then that's when
everybody
I joined.
decided to just switch up to heroin, isn't it?
Yeah, heroin
Because
and fentanyl.
you
Yeah,
can't get the Hoxy. You have to go to the next closest
yeah,
relative.
exactly, man. So yeah, so like for whatever reason, I stopped doing that, and I got
Mm,
basically I went to camps, kind of got away. But like I said, I was doing Oxycontins every day, and I had a friend down there, like a childhood friend, and he was addicted to cocaine, and so started that up for me. So I started hanging out with him, and before you know it, we were actually smoking crack, and yeah, man. So that's kind of like how it went. You know, even though I was making like really good money and stuff, it just kind of got snowballing more and more out of control, and it became to the point where I was no longer able to function, and I basically lost everything I had. At 19 years old, doing what I was doing, I bought a house. Me and my brother bought our first house together at 19, and then by the time I can't even remember honestly, probably like 23 or 24 was when I lost everything and became like, just the hopeless drug addict, like they say, right? Where I was
mm,
just doing so much dope I couldn't even function on the daily. I couldn't even continue my day-to-day operations, right? I was in and out of jail and treatment centers and detox facilities.
mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you lost everything? So you lost the house. You lost everything
Yeah, I went to
almost.
foreclosure. Yeah, I wasn't even, yeah. I was so messed up, man. I wasn't even paying my mortgage. It was weird. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So in that moment, so you said you were in and out of detoxes and stuff like that. Voluntary, or is that through?
No,
Obviously,
no.
sometimes they're involuntary because you get arrested, and then they're like, "We'll send you to a detox," and then
Yeah, no,
you're stuck there.
yeah, it was voluntary. But yeah, so I didn't go to treatment the first time I went to detox. I kind of went to detox the first time to like
Mm,
try and save my relationship because I had a girlfriend at the time, and then
mm,
um and then to save my property too because I could see that was going fast, right? And so I didn't know what to do at the time. This was my first crack at it, right? And so I went to detox. I thought that would solve my problem, right? But
mm,
as soon as I was out of detox, I was right back at it again. And so basically, it took my girlfriend leaving me, and so this time I went to treatment again. No, sorry,
mm,
again. I went to detox and then went to treatment. Did like the 42-day quick rinse. You know what I mean? And then
mm.
yeah, just
This
no,
this
like I
spin
was
thing was just they put me on the spin cycle, and I was out. And
exactly.
I was,
I was
I
getting
was
high in treatment, like it was a joke, right? Like
oh
I was not
Jesus.
ready, man. It was bad. No
Yeah.
control. Yeah.
Mm.
I was only doing it for, for what I had and I wasn't doing it for
Mm.
the right reasons, obviously, or
Yeah, obviously, because then it doesn't stick anyway, because you're just there,
yeah.
just out of some bullshit. Like you're not really in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, if you're using while you're there, I mean, you
Yeah.
really there's no point, is there?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, so as soon as I left there, it's like obviously right back at it again, full force. And
Hmm.
yeah, I just got like they say, just every time I got a bit of sobriety and then back out again. Not just like I did have a little bit on and off in treatment. I guess I wasn't doing it every day, but so once I hit the street again, it was just full force, worse than the last time. I was
Mm.
basically almost homeless right away. It was a very short time. I don't remember how long it was, but that's when I experienced my first taste of homelessness. And everyone I knew, like before when I was doing really well and stuff, and just financially, I'd say doing well, right? So
Hmm.
in appearance, everyone around me, they thought I was doing really well, and everyone looked up to me as the guy who's successful, right? But I guess I just wasn't to the point where it was obvious, right? I still
Mm.
had somewhat control, I guess, or maybe I was just probably just kidding myself. But it was years before my dad actually came to me crying and being like, "What are you doing, right?"
Mm.
And so basically, I like when I was homeless, I we just picked up like petty thefts at that time, and
Mm.
so I was just racking up a lot of theft charges, and eventually I was just taken straight from just the holding cells to jail, right? Because I was missing court appearances and stuff like that. So that was like
Oh
my
God.
first. Yeah, it was crazy. So that was like my first taste of actual prison. Like it was a short sentence. I only got 20 days, but I just remember being in there and well, on my way to there actually, just kind of like a realization, like what's going on? Like this is really messed up. Like now, I'm going to prison. I'm 87 pounds, soaking wet. Like just like if I
Jesus.
just terrified, man. Like my first going to jail, I'm just a mess physically and everything, right? So
Yeah.
terrified going in there and just tell myself, man, I'm gonna straighten myself out. I'm gonna get my act together and no more doing dope, no more selling dope. And I go in there for 20 days and come back out and I'm just right back at it again, man, not knowing. And then so I get picked up again. I got 12 conditions, so I'm obviously breaching everything and get sent back in again. And this time my dad gets me a like a what do you call legal aid lawyer, and he
Yeah.
gets me out of there with like
Mm.
basically as soon as I get out of there, I go straight to treatment. So
Hmm.
I did that whole thing, and this time it was like a 60-day treatment, and
Okay. So
yeah, so
they basically like caught the plea so that you would get out released to
yeah,
a treatment
it's
facility instead of spending a
yeah,
longer sentence in prison or
yeah.
whatever.
I
They
was
do that. They do that sometimes.
yeah, because I wasn't actually sentenced. I was just kind of so I got out on bail, waiting for my next
Yeah.
court appearances.
Yeah.
But they just took me straight to jail because I don't show up to court, right? That was the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreliable. You're very unreliable. You're a
Yeah,
homeless drug addict that is quite unreliable. Surprised and
exactly.
shocking,
That's
isn't it?
shocking.
That a drug
Shocking,
addict
yes.
that was homeless would be very unreliable. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So
very big
yeah,
shocker there.
big shocker, yeah. So like again it was like I went to treatment. It was the same treatment I went to before. It was CRC.
Mhm.
They got a really good program there, but um man, like I really wanted to stay sober and I didn't want to do drugs and stuff, but
Yeah.
I look back on it now and I just had a lot of mental and emotional problems as well as physical problems. And I would
Yeah.
tell myself, I would just tell myself lies, right? That like you can never get well and you need these drugs to function properly, which was just insane, right? And
Yeah.
so before I knew it, I was dabbling in treatment again and lying to everyone and telling them I'm sober and
Mm.
even had myself convinced that I was doing way better, right? It was just
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, that's the addict's mind. That's how it works. It lies to itself. It tells
Yeah,
itself.
it's wild.
It believes the fallacies that it's telling itself. Oh, you're doing a lot better now.
Yeah.
You've really got your act together. You're only doing drugs like twice a week, and you're
Yeah.
pretending to be sober the whole time. I mean, shit, that's
Yeah.
quite good for you.
I think you got
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely nailing it. Nothing could go wrong when we get out of here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and then boom, straight back.
Straight back to it, man. I went, yeah.
Mm,
So I actually moved from the island to Kamloops to try and straighten it out there again. So I moved in with my cousin and like again, she was drinking and stuff and before I knew it, I was chipping away at it again and
yeah,
just right back to square one again. And health deteriorating more and more again and basically, my family all coming to me crying like you're killing yourself. What are you doing all this, right? And so it wasn't until finally like I had a scare with I had a couple ODs where
mm,
I had to get Narcan and then
shit,
again where they had to defibrillate me. So I came to in the hospital, not even knowing like what had happened, just like came to in the hospital basically. Like it scared the bejesus out of me, but I was like, as soon as they let me out of there, I was looking for dope again. But
yeah.
it was weird.
I
I was
mean,
scared, you know what I mean? So I actually did have
yeah,
a healthy fear, but still I couldn't control it, obviously, right? So um, I just agreed to try and get into detox, and
yeah,
so I did that whole thing again. I'd gotten the detox, and then back into treatment right away, and I was like just really, really desperate for it this time because my health was like at an all-time low, and I was just tired of struggling, man. It was, I was probably 29 at the time, I guess, and so oh no, it's maybe 30. Man, time flies, but anyways, so yeah, that's crazy, hey? So many years gone ago.
Time flies when you can't remember shit because you're
Yeah,
tired, drunk.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
I like to call my addiction period the Black Album, like Jay-Z's The Black Album. Like I don't remember much of it. I have like some memories. Most of
Yeah,
them are crazy, wild stories, but like
exactly.
there's some of it. If somebody asked me something like what happened in 2006, I'd be like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
probably got into a fight and broke my
The point
nose.
is,
I don't know.
yeah, we remember certain events, but not what year they happened.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
remember like big things. Like I remember like bits and pieces,
yeah,
but I don't remember like full scenario. Like I remember like the crazy bits that happen, right? The big
yeah,
ones that stand out. The ones where I got arrested, I remember those. I remember the
yeah,
ones where I woke up
exactly,
in holding cells. I remember those because you wake up in it or you find yourself in it. I only
exactly.
remember I remember a lot of the crazy bits, but I don't remember like some of the other
Yeah,
stuff, like what I was doing like when I wasn't drunk. Like I don't remember any of that stuff. I don't really remember what was going on.
yeah.
It was all
Always a blackout. Hey, yeah,
massive blur.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, this like I guess it was my fourth time in treatment, and it was actually it's called Intervisions, and it was actually a really good. They had a really
Hmm.
good program there, man, and like I said, I kind of just I was desperate, and I really
Yeah.
wanted to change, and I kind of just went for it. Got right into the program, volunteering at the treatment center, and I was doing really well, right? Like I almost had, well,
Yeah.
I did. I was pretty free at that point, right? I wasn't dabbling in dope and stuff like that, and um, then unfortunately, like, seems like for whatever reason, I'm a real slow learner, right? So I got got a bit of comfort, I guess, and started getting a job and started making more money, and then like that old addiction to making money happened again, and before I know it, I'm picking up this job where it's at it's like a medical grow operation, and
Hmm.
obviously that wasn't okay with the treatment center I was staying at. Long story short, they found out about it, kicked me out of there, and then I was
Hmm.
back at it again, man, just stressed right out, and before I knew it, I was picking up dope again. It was sad, and fortunately though, this time it didn't last very long. It was about a month, and I was homeless right away on Hastings, like East Vancouver Hastings, and it's for anyone that knows East Hastings, it's like the worst of the worst. It's the worst thing I've ever experienced, anyways. It's like literally like the night of the living dead down there. It's a war zone, right? Like it's just imagine like miles and miles of just drug addicts. Just yeah, the worst of the worst you can imagine. Like I said, zombies down there, right? And I was a zombie. Um, so yeah, I was I wasn't down there for probably 2 months, a month or 2 months, I can't remember, but I remember I got on methadone, which I never really wanted to get on before because I just knew how
Hmm.
bad it was, and like I was struggling so bad, and obviously for those that know, like opiates was my thing, and so like the worst feeling in the world is being dope sick, and
Hmm.
I was dope sick a lot, and so I was just like, man, can't go on like this, and for whatever reason, I just got on methadone, and but it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, I guess, because the methadone clinic where I was going to, they were just like super, super kind, loving people, and the one guy that worked there, he was actually a recovered addict, and
Hmm.
I'd go in there, man, and like I said, I was like probably like 82 pounds in this. I was like the skinniest I ever been, right? I'd be up for 10 days at a time, like just just like doing the Hastings shuffle they call it, right? And just dancing, and there's
Jesus.
no lost my mind, man.
Dancing
Lost
and
my
there's no music. Jesus.
dancing, yeah, man. Like
That's a prophetic statement right there. If anybody who's
yeah,
ever done any type of
I'm,
drug knows what that's about, where you're just like, there's no
yeah,
music, but you're having the best time of your
I'm,
life.
yeah, uncontrollable. Yeah,
Yeah, you're
it's
just
that.
like,
Yeah, not probably not quite as good as that,
no,
but
yeah, 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 not
yeah,
not as
yeah,
good as
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I'd go into this methadone clinic and just get like a reprieve from Hastings Street, and then this guy would always just come and just basically like come and talk to me and basically like just tell me, I should try treatment again. And there's this really good place he told me about. It was TWC, Together We Can. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, sure, man. I was like, I'll try anything at this point. My dad was like, I'd phone my dad and just let him know I'm still alive and stuff. And so basically him and the guy that was working at the methadone clinic, basically they lined up a bed for me in TWC and even a bed in detox. And this guy, man, this guy that worked in the methadone clinic, he actually walked me, like he picked me up and walked me down to the detox place, right? Which was super solid. And I thought that was pretty awesome. Not too many people do that, right?
Not not at all.
Yeah. So yeah, like I went there and it was super, like my roughest detox ever because I was just in such rough shape. And then I went to treatment at TWC and like I said, I could tell I'd done some damage. I had like super, super bad pain in my gallbladder. I forgot about this actually. I had to basically like put treatment on hiatus and go to the hospital and get my gallbladder removed. And so yeah, my body was taking a toll, right?
Yeah.
And so I went back to treatment after that, and just like I said, I was just super struggling mentally. And basically, I went out again, came back, like I'd go out a few times, got high, and come back, and then they actually caught me doing dope in the bathroom, and yeah, man, it was crazy. And yeah, so they basically told me like they kicked me out, but they said, if I want to stay or I want to come back or whatever, they do have another house where I could go there. And so basically that's what I did. I just went there right away. And like I don't know why, but I was just like I don't know if it was the environment. It was a different environment, a different house. A lot of things, right? But I really just like started doing a lot better. And it was a lot smaller, like treatment center. It was like more of a actual house of like say just 10 guys. And it was a real close knit group of people. And yeah, I really thrived in there. And like I said, I was doing a lot of volunteer stuff and even like going down to Hastings and feeding the homeless and stuff down there. And it really gave me like a sense of purpose I never had in a long, long time. And I was just finally starting to get like just even like my physical health back too as well. So I was no longer messing around, and so I basically got clean for about, I guess it was like a year. I was in second stage, and basically I was managing a second stage house as well as working at the treatment center. So I was doing really well, and then I just got another job too as well, painting, and so I guess I was probably doing like just overdoing it, right? And my program started to suffer again, and so I started getting like all these like mental and emotional health things coming back and getting anxiety and depression and just feeling overwhelmed, right? I still had like a lot of physical stuff from before, like I'd have like really, my memory was super bad, like something I never really talked about. But yeah, like my memory it was brutal, man. Like it was non-existent basically. And like I'd walk in a room and forget why I came into it and stuff like that. Like that was a long-term thing from the radiation I stuff and had in my brain, all chronic fatigue and cramps. I'd have like cramps all over my body, my jaw. Like it was really embarrassing, man. Because even though I was clean and like I get these jaw cramps, like the swinging and like that. So I would like have be subconscious of people like thinking I was high or whatever, right? But I wasn't. Yeah, so it was just like I was going through it, man. And basically I end up like thinking about doing dope again, and I just would like play it over my head where I went last time and how bad it got, and I was just really, really fighting. Like it was just and so the next thing I got like the thought of just killing myself, because like I was like thinking to myself, like if I can't do it now, I've tried all these times, and I've really tried hard this time, and I still can't do it. And I was like, it was like a thought came into my head. It's like you may as well kill yourself, right? And I would have been through a lot. I never had that thought before, and it literally dropped me to my knees, and I just cried out to God. I was like just begging God, crying for Him to help me, right? and it seemed to really help at the time. Like kind of got a lot of relief there, and
Hmm.
I was doing a lot better just for the day, right? Like that day, and then it was the next day. I'll never forget this day. It was a Saturday, and I went and like I normally didn't go to work on a Saturday, but for whatever reason I went and did this painting job on a Saturday. And looking back on it now and just knowing what happened then, it was a good thing I did because I was there painting away, and this guy who I just talked to like in passing by, he
Uh-huh.
came and asked me for a ride home, and it was like a massive like construction site basically, a bunch of
Uh-huh.
different crews, and this guy was from a different crew, and like I knew him from passing, we'd say hi and stuff, and seemed like a nice guy,
Yeah.
but so he came and asked me for a ride home, and I was like, yeah, sure, man, just let me finish up here, and I'll give you a ride home. And as I'm giving this guy a ride home, he basically tells me this story how this holistic health coach saved his life from glyphosate poisoning, and basically he was dying, right? He was going blind and basically even couldn't even form sentences anymore. Like it was rough, right? He lost, I think it was over 100 pounds. Like I said, he was dying, and
Uh-huh.
that's he met this guy, told me all about this guy, and I was like, kind of like thought maybe for whatever reason in my gut, I thought maybe I should probably talk to this guy. Like I just had us, so I was like, does this guy have any success with drug addicts? And he's like, yeah. He told me he's like he's got a 95% success rate. Which right away my head was like, "There's no way," because I was
Yeah.
in NA and stuff like that. So I was just like, "There's no way." But I thought, I'd give this a try. And I was like, "How do I get a hold of this guy?" And he's like, "You can." He's like, "I can phone him right now if you want." And he phoned him right then and there. This guy answered, and basically he passed me the phone. It's kind of a weird story, right? But that's what happened. And I started talking to this guy and pulled over, right? Because he can't talk and drive. But I pulled over and I talked to this guy for like almost an hour, and he just blew my mind, like all the things that he knew. Like even though I was a drug addict and stuff, and struggling with all that, like there was a lot of years where I was just basically just a weed and a binge drinker, right? So when I was making a ton of money doing what I was doing, I won't get into it, but I was always looking for like a solution, right? So I tried all these different health things, like all these different energy healers and all these gurus and doctors of Chinese medicine, and I'd get a bit of relief and stuff, but nothing major. And so basically, like I was grilling this guy, right, just to see what, and
Yeah.
the thing he said was just like I could tell it, like it's really resonated that this guy knew what he was talking about, and this guy knew something that no one else knew that I'd talked to before, right? Strange as it was, man, that's what I was thinking, and so basically he would like call me on out of the blue and just see how I'm doing, and we'd have like an hour long talk where he'd just like basically, coach me and just give me a lot of hope and a lot of positivity and reinforcing the fact that I can overcome this and stuff, right? And I ended up going down. He lived 5 hours away. He was in Kelowna. I was in Vancouver, and I just
Uh-huh.
went. Yeah, I went and saw him one day, and yeah, man, he prayed for me that day and basically just asked me if he asked me if I ever thought of being a Christian, or asked me if I knew Jesus Christ and stuff like that. I was like, no, and he's like basically told me a bunch of bunch of stories like how his life was transformed and stuff like that. Right? He had a really rough childhood. Like this guy was, when I met him, he was 54, but his dad like used to beat him so badly. By the time he was 18 years old, he had over 200 concussions, and
Jesus.
yeah, man. So he was in rough shape, and
Hmm.
basically, so he overcame all that, and he was in holistic health for 32 years, right? So long time. And so he basically just asked me if I want to give my life to Jesus Christ, and he prayed for me, basically, right? Did the
Hmm.
sinner's prayer, right? Is what he did, and um, just it was weird, man. It was just like at a snap of when I completed that prayer, I felt like a new person, and from that moment on, I never craved drugs or alcohol since, right? And I continued to do AA and stuff like that, and basically I picked up the Bible and just started reading the Bible every day, and yeah, man, it was wild. Basically, he like taught me like a bunch of things on, how to detox myself, and basically that was just the beginning of my physical healing, right?
Uh-huh.
And radically transformed my diet and everything I consumed, like physically, mentally, emotionally. Like I no longer was watching, movies and listening to rap and it was crazy. Like this guy just taught me a new way to live, right? Which made a lot of sense. And once I started practicing these things, it radically transformed every part of my being. Yeah,
I mean, that seems like exactly what you needed.
absolutely.
Like at the time, it feels like, I don't know if you feel like this, but I feel like there's certain things that are supposed to happen in your life, and they happen at the time you need them to happen. They happen in the moment, and I feel
Hmm.
like that was your moment,
Yeah,
because all the other
I
all
agree.
the other stuff, all the other stuff wasn't working, and it was
Yeah,
just kind of like, you're telling a story, and it's literally you're just doing the same thing, you're just doing the same circle.
yeah. Just
Rehab,
getting worse
rehab
and worse.
out, rehab out, rehab out, rehab out.
Yeah.
No, no, no. And it seems like that's the moment that you needed,
Hmm.
and it
Yeah.
and it was different, and it was, yeah, it was the exact thing you needed in the moment you needed it. Um,
Absolutely.
so you started learning a new way to live your life.
Yeah.
Um, you stopped using drugs. You're done. You're clean. Um, what happened then? What were your next steps? What was the next step on your journey? So you get clean, and then what?
Yeah. So I was still in second stage when I met this guy. His name's
Mm-hmm.
Ron Oliver. And so basically like I just ended up moving out of there, getting my own place, right? And just practicing everything that he was teaching me, like reading the Bible every day and praying and stuff like that. And so I radically, like I said, I've changed my diet. I started just eating all raw foods, all organic foods. I changed started drinking a lot more water, like a different kind of water. He basically taught me about one of his principles was nothing dead can support life. So I basically like I went what's called a Daniel diet, and which was just all raw foods. And then I did a parasite cleanse, a colon cleanse, and yeah, man, it's like thinking back on it now, it's just because it's been so long now. It's been five years when I first met him, so I'm 6 years
Mm-hmm.
clean and sober now. But
Wow.
like yeah, man,
Congratulations on that. 6 years. That's huge,
thanks,
man.
thanks, bro. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks, brother. But yeah, like in 2 weeks of like just practicing everything he taught me, it's like I was a new person, man, like physically, mentally, and emotionally. And I think thinking back on it now, a huge struggle of mine, like a lot of people can't relate to this, but a lot of people can. Like a big part of my struggle was my physical health, right? Because I went through the
Mm-hmm.
cancer and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. So like once I got that piece of the puzzle, it just became a lot easier for me because when you're struggling physically, it's and like yeah, like it was like man, since I was 10 years old, I never had my physical health, right?
Yeah, and that's a huge traumatic experience as a child, and then
Yeah,
to never have a chance to process it, you know,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
and then on top of that, losing your mom, and like the person that you would probably have done the processing with, she'd have been there for you. Would have been do you know what I mean?
yeah,
There would have been the comfort, the
absolutely.
warmth of your mother. Yeah, so I think that's huge because you went back and started working on your health, and that was the thing that was the traumatic experience in your childhood that you needed to
Yeah,
work on.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's sorry. That seemed like that was like the missing piece of the puzzle. And once
Hmm.
I put all that together, it just it's been relatively easy.
Okay, so you do all that. When do you decide that you want to get into the holistic healing? When did that occur? What was
It was
because that's a new path to go down.
yeah. So that was it was basically like as soon as I had that transformation, sorry, which I said was like I gotta grab some water here just a sec.
Hmm. I always keep water next to me when I'm doing these because you're talking for such a long period of time. You have to
Mhm.
have some water.
Exactly. I got my special glass bottle here. I
That's
yeah,
that
I
is a
drink like
cool glass bottle. It's
yeah,
massive.
like
It looks like an old like an old jug, like an old
yeah.
one of those old time jugs.
It's actually it's what do they call them? Growler. It's a growler.
Oh, oh really?
Yeah, yeah. but yeah, basically like I drink like a electrolyzed reduced water. That was a
Mm.
big part of what I did too. But so yeah, as I was saying, yeah, basically as soon as I started having my transformation, that thought kind of crossed my mind because when I was like working at the treatment center and stuff, I was like, I seen like I got a lot of fulfillment out of helping people. And that's
Yeah.
obviously something they teach in AA, right? You can't keep what you have without giving it away freely, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw that was really helping me and everyone else. So that was kind of like a thought. I was just like something I could add to what I'm already doing is like help guys with their health too as well, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, it was basically right away, and then it was probably about a year before I he basically offered me the opportunity to do that, right? And
Hmm.
yeah, so I kind of just jumped right into it head first, and yeah, it's been awesome, man. It's been an amazing experience.
So is that what you're doing currently now for your job? Is that what you do for your living?
Yeah, that's
You
what I do
work
for
with
my living
holistic
now,
health?
full
Yeah.
time. Yeah,
Do you work with people that are struggling with addiction as well? Like, do you help them,
yeah,
or
I
you know,
do absolutely.
what's your field cover? What do you got?
Basically, like what we do, man, we teach people how to detox themselves, like on the cellular molecular level, but also too as well we do like we do life coaching as well. So basically, like helping people getting over the mental and emotional traumas, right,
Hmm.
from their past. Like it's like similar to AA as like the mental and emotional stuff, but obviously
Hmm.
spiritual too as well, right? And so we coach people on that too as well, like positive affirmations, gratitude, and all this stuff, and just
Hmm.
like teaching people how to retrain their brain because a lot of our problems are from childhood, right? Because that's when we've picked up most of our habits and our behaviors and our thought processes. So basically, like our brain is a computer, right? Basically, think of it like that, and we've been programmed our whole lives by events, things that have happened to us, things we've watched, things we've seen, like all that stuff matters, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, I learned this, and so I just we teach people how to basically reprogram their brain, reprogram bad habits with new habits. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's basically, like we also teach people like how to reverse sickness and disease, symptoms of disease. Like my buddy, he's like I'm nowhere near on the level that this guy's on. Like this guy, think man, this guy's got 32 years, and like some of the most amazing mentors mentored him. Dr. Michael O'Brien was one of them. This guy, like basically, he's helped thousands and thousands of people reverse like every sickness and disease you can imagine. Pretty wild, man. Most people like don't even believe this stuff, and for I could go on about this forever. Like I love this, but we don't have that much time. But yeah, man, it's like, the body can literally. I can say this without a shadow of a doubt because I've seen it in the last 5 years of working with hundreds and hundreds of people. Is the body can literally heal itself of anything, right? It just takes time. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
right now it takes money because all these things cost money, like the supplements and enzymes, probiotics, and like there's a lot to it, right? Because another thing too is we live in a super toxic environment, and a lot of people don't understand how bad it is, but it's really bad, man. Like I'm
Yeah.
talking like toxins and um, everywhere. They're in our home. They're won't get into it, but they're everywhere, right? Like yeah, man. So yeah,
They're
we
in our
can.
foods. They're in our. Yeah, I believe it. I mean, you go
Yeah,
around. I mean, I moved from the U.S. to the U.K. and I know the food's different from the
yeah,
U.S. to the U.K. and
really.
that's just because of the laws. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
the UK has stricter laws on what they're allowed to feed their people,
I've
and
heard that. Yeah,
America does not care. I mean, additives, preservatives, artificial flavors, artificial colors, artificial whatever.
yeah,
Like over here, a lot of that stuff doesn't exist. Now, I'm not saying it's like it's super healthy, but I'm saying that it's
yeah,
a better option than what people are getting fed in America. And
yeah. I've heard
my
that.
wife had lived in America with me, and she said, the first thing she said was, "Your bread tastes funny," and I was like, "It's bread. How can it taste funny?" And she's like,
Yeah,
"It tastes too sweet." Again, it's because they add stuff to it and they add preservatives and things in it. How long does bread last in America? It can last for a long, long, long time. But if you buy like a fresh roll over here in the UK, it's bad within like a day or two. Like
Really?
normal bread. Yeah, it'll
Wow.
get moldy and go bad, right? Because it doesn't
Wow.
have anything. It doesn't have anything added to it. But like
Yeah.
bread in America lasts for a shit ton of
Wow.
time.
That's forever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So definitely agree that there are toxins around us and getting
Yeah.
fed to us and given to
Yeah.
us.
hmm So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do to like negate all those bad things, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you've got 6 years sober.
hmm
How does that feel? How's that feeling for you?
Yeah, I'm grateful, man. Like over and above all, I'm just super grateful because, like I said, man, like a lot of people just they even never even make it out of their addiction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot because I met like countless people, and I couldn't even think how many people I met in treatment centers, right? And like I like to keep in contact with a lot of those guys the best I could, anyways. And the sad thing is, man, lots of those guys are dead now. Lots of those guys, they never make it back, right?
Yeah.
And I know very few people who have gone to treatment with those quite a few times that actually stayed sober, right? It's only a handful
Yeah.
of people. So I
Yeah.
just feel super grateful, man, and I feel like I'm blessed, and I've been given an opportunity, a new lease on life, and an opportunity to help a lot of people, right? And that's what I want to do. That's what I believe I'm here for, and it's kind of like it's the honorable, integral thing to do, right? So I'm
Well,
super motivated to do it.
I think your story will resonate with people, and I think they'll hear your message loud and clear,
Mhm.
and hopefully it reaches the person that it's supposed to reach, and that
Yeah,
they'll be able to find the help that they need, because that's what the podcast is all about is to share our experience, share our stories, and let people know that there's different ways to recover. It's not just one
Mhm.
size fits all. I mean, because you've done treatment. It wasn't the thing that was working for you, so
Yeah, exactly.
you found the thing that worked for you, um, and now you're sharing that, and that's like that's a gift to somebody out there who's looking for answers, right?
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
you can you can provide that answer. You can provide that hope and say, I did it. This is how I did it. Give it a try. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You could fail like
Yeah.
the other things that are failing for you. So, there's no harm in giving it a go, right?
Mhm.
Um, so do you have are you living on your own now? You have a house? Like, what are you doing with your
Yeah. Well,
sobriety?
I live with a few people that are kind of basically doing the same thing I'm doing. Yeah, and I
Okay.
live in an amazing house right on the river. Like it's awesome, man. I live a truly blessed life, right? I've been able to, just work from home, doing what I'm
Hmm.
passionate about, right? And yeah, man, like I said, I just feel truly blessed, and I'm just excited to see where this company goes. And we're kind of like, even though my buddy's been doing his thing for 32 years, we're just kind of really exploding now, and so it's in a really exciting time. We're training a lot of other people to do like myself. We're training other people to do what we're doing, right? Because it's needed, and we just want to make it like a global impact. So yeah, I'm just super excited, man. Honestly, and I want to start on one day my own like holistic centers, right? But I'd probably focus on like addicts, right? Because that's
Yeah.
close to my heart. Yeah,
Yeah. It's awesome that you seem like you have so much passion and so much, you know, um, excitement in your life. Like you're ready to take on like these big challenges and, like you said, like make a
hmm
global impact. And you know,
yeah,
that's a huge jump from where you were. You know,
absolutely. Yeah,
six, 7, 8 years ago. I mean, that guy's a
easy.
completely different person, right? You're like
Yeah,
it feels like you feel like a new person now, doing all
yeah,
these new things, right?
hmm
So that's really cool, man. That's really awesome to hear. So, is there anything you'd like to promote before we we wrap things up. Is there anything you got going on? Anything coming up with your holistic healing that you'd like to push?
Yeah, well, the one thing I just say is like anyone that's looking to maybe like look at what we're doing, we create a private group, and basically it's called Elite Dynamic Warrior Nation, and like in that group we provide like basically access to everything we're doing. So like just a ton of information on like health, like the things I talk about, like how to detoxify yourself on the cellular molecular level, how to feed yourself properly, all the nutritional needs you need, basically like a whole lot of everything, right? We put a lot into this, and you'll also have access to like through messaging and free Zooms and stuff like that, where we do like live Q&A too as well, where you can actually ask my mentor and his son, because it's a father and son company. You can ask them questions, say you got problems. Yeah, so they can answer any question you have. Like with any health problem you have, these guys got an answer to it, because like I said, they've worked with everything with miraculous results, right? So it's called Elite Dynamic Warrior Nation. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, William Kem, and yeah, just come check out what we're doing. And if you're struggling, like what I like to say to people always is, like, no matter how far down you've gone, like how bad things really are, and like I said, like use my life as an example, man. I went through some horrible things, and I was literally ready to give up. I was having suicidal thoughts, right? Because I was just so tired of struggling. I just didn't see my life getting better to the point where I wanted to live anymore. And now I just, man, like I said, I feel like I'm truly blessed, and I've been given a new lease on life. Like yeah, man, just a life I never thought would be possible for where I was, right? So, yeah,
That's
don't ever
awesome,
give
dude.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, that's amazing stuff. So before we end things, I always like to ask. I've been asking all my guests, what are 3 things that you absolutely need in your recovery? So like some people say journaling or yoga, or like, you know what I mean? Like those type of things, like mine's the gym and running. What are
Yeah.
3 things that you need that are like your go-to things in recovery?
I'll just be honest, man. My go-to things is God, right? Gratitude,
Yeah.
and exercise, healthy diet. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a little bit more. I'd say
No,
God.
that's good. No, that's it. That's
Yeah,
it. That's good. That's it, man. God, gratitude, and good diet, healthy exercise. Yeah. Healthy body, healthy mind. Got it.
exactly.
Be grateful. Those are all great tools. I do that with all my guests because I want people to have like you know, a bunch of things from everybody who's recovered that can pick and choose what you want to use, because some
Yeah,
people gravitate, towards certain things. So it's like,
absolutely. Yeah.
it's nice to give people like an option, like, here, this is what I do. This works for me. This is what I do. So it just gives people options to choose
Exactly.
from.
Awesome.
So, well, William, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out to speak to everybody. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot, James. It was a pleasure to be on here with you, buddy. Keep up the good work, brother.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.